Let's have some football with Bob Sturm from Bad Radio, 1310 and 96.7 FM, the ticket, obviously. Help me out here. At a loss for what I saw Sunday in Washington, a quarterback not named Tony Romo leads the Cowboys on an 80-yard drive, go-ahead touchdown drive in the fourth quarter. Jason Garrett calls an onside kick, goes for it on fourth down. All of this is wrapped up in a Cowboys win. Should we all go out and buy a lottery ticket or something? Because these things just don't happen with the Cowboys.
Yeah, and especially after we saw 2015. I mean, we just saw the way they went through their thought process, the way they coached. They coached to please quarterbacks, don't screw everything up. To see that coaching staff then bring in Dak Prescott, a rookie and a guy who, we didn't think was quite ready for this sort of thing. For him to basically be allowed to run the offense. And, people are debating, is it conservative? Are they being aggressive? I'll tell you, seeing some of those throws, especially the third and long throws on Sunday in Washington, he's making throws we haven't seen anyone outside of Tony Romo do. And that's a real departure from these guys. There were plenty of times they're in the red zone, and they would normally take a kick with Castle or Whedon or even Romo sometimes. Let's be careful here. Let's not lose this 3. Dak was going for 7, and it was pretty cool.
Was the 0-2 hole, do you think that made a difference? The potential of an 0-2 hole in those calls?
I guess. I mean, Garrett's been Garrett for so long that you're right. Probably it's a road game. You're playing the division champs, so you don't want to go 0-2. But, man, they went after it on Sunday at a lot of times, and I was impressed how they coached it and how Prescott executed.
Yeah, well, Dak Prescott's been amazing, obviously, through 2 weeks. He's breaking records. He's poised. He's this. He's that. He's definitely a regonk. But it's airtight. Is it airtight to say that Prescott will be sent to the bench when Romo comes back?
I think it is. I think this is Tony Romo's job for as long as he can prove to be healthy. But, man, I feel like we're also kind of close to that border on has his body been used up, It takes so much to be an NFL quarterback. The collisions are so ridiculous. Romo, the last 5 times he's been hit hard,
he's been hurt.
3 of them have been injuries that have taken him out for a couple months. That can't continue, of course. So it's his job when he gets back. The question is, then what? Can he stay healthy? Can he perform well? And ultimately, when it comes around to 2017 and we talk about his cap hit in 17 and, the June 1st, can you spread that $20 million out? Who's your quarterback week 1 of 2017 is where I think this thing gets interesting.
Which comes first, a Dak touchdown pass or a Dak interception?
Wow. Well, I'll say the touchdown pass because I thought he had it with Dez in the second quarter of game 1. I'm not worried about that. I guess fantasy football players are worried about it, that they want those touchdowns. But the fact that he's played, all told, 255 snaps, if you include preseason and regular season, 0 interceptions. That is crazy. And it can't continue. No quarterback can continue like that. But the fact that he's keeping passes out of harm's way is pretty phenomenal.
This running game, a little puzzling to this point. You tried to decode Linehan today in the morning news, and it showed more often than not the Cowboys go with those 2 tight end sets, and it's been less productive.
Yeah.
So do you think that's protecting Dak? Or do you think now that he's shown a little bit that they'll go to that 11 personnel and open it up for Zeke now?
Yeah, I think you got to stay in 11 personnel as much as possible. I mean, there are short yard situations where you want a couple tight ends. And let's face it, they've spent a lot on a second tight end. So they
Jeff
want
Swaim, everybody.
Yeah, Jeff Swaim, Gavin Escobar, and you can go all the way back. But the fact is, with 11 personnel, you're more spread out. You got Beasley over here. You got Williams or Butler over here. You got Dez over there. You got Witten. Spread them out. That leaves more room between the tackles, and it pretty much makes it a 5-on-5 game in the middle if they're going to go with safeties up top, and that's where Zeke and really Zeke and Dak with a zone read, taking them both back to what they did well in college. I think that can be really dangerous as we continue to develop this offense.
Dak has been really good on play action, too, completing 81% of his passes on that. So I guess we'll look for that in the games to come. All right, as fun as Dak has been, the Cowboys still have that defense. It's really bad. Talent scarce, but somehow they hold Washington to without a touchdown in 4 of their last 5 red zone appearances on Sunday. how do we put lipstick on this big fat pig we have in the defense?
Well, the first thing to do is get back DeMarcus Lawrence, your best pass rusher. That is 2 games away, and you don't like the fact he got suspended, but he looked amazing at training camp, and I thought he had a really good 2015, so let's start there. Beyond that, we have to understand that this team elected to put all of its assets on offense. They have the #1 offensive payroll in the NFL, the 21st best defensive payroll. So you kind of get what you pay for. They have spent all their draft picks on offense, all of their money on offense. So their philosophy, and it probably makes a little bit of sense, but we don't know how much, is let's get an offense that can't be stopped, hypothetically, if we're almost healthy, and let's get a defense that maybe is not going to get stops, but at least they can turn 7 into 3, maybe the occasional red zone interception like Barry Church did Sunday, and it works. I don't love it. I thought Jalen Ramsey and Miles Jack or Jalen Smith in the first 2 rounds was probably the way to go to get defensive playmakers. They obviously didn't ask me, and this is what they're going to do is, hey, Rod, coach them up. And it didn't work in week 1. In week 2, they were able to keep some of those red zone drives from turning into touchdowns, and that's what won them the game. And also Kirk Cousins.
But, yeah, he's terrible.
Yes.
They do have a couple sacks, though, and 2 interceptions in 2 games. I think it took 6 games last season to get 2 interceptions. So clearly they have to get the turnovers to make this whole thing work.
Yeah, it's all about taking the ball away, taking care of the football on offense, figuring out a way to win that turnover battle. It's also figuring out when to blitz and when not to blitz. I know Rod Marinelli hates it. It's clear his track record is he's at the bottom of the league in blitz rate. But as you're trying to work on a situation where you're trying to make something out of nothing, I think you got to roll the dice a little bit. The NFL's at about 30%. Wade Phillips and the Broncos are up over 40% blitz rate, and the Cowboys barely are at 20%. So maybe occasionally look for that chance to send guys.
How crazy is it to think that they had 4 defensive tackles out there as their pass rush in the 4th quarter, and somehow it worked?
Yeah, well, they get a lot of guys with flex, we call it, and they can play anywhere on the line. Jack Crawford and Tyrone Crawford both can do that. In fact, Tyrone Crawford's been moved all over. He was a 3-4 end, and he was an inside guy on a 4-3. He looked great on that edge sack on Sunday. So, they have versatile guys. They don't have blue chip guys that much. Tyrone Crawford's their best player by a mile up front, but they're trying to get active bodies, and yeah, it's not ideal. It would be difficult to try to talk someone into the fact that they got this all figured out, because not only is the line a problem, the linebackers are a problem. Sean Lee is great if he's out there, and he's done a better job of staying on the field recently. But beyond that, I'm not positive they have a second linebacker they love, so they try to put Justin Durant out there at times, and Anthony Hitchens, and they try to play with just 2 linebackers. So they're a work in progress.
Can Ron Leary be used as a trade chip to shore up one of those areas?
Well, he certainly could. The problem is this team has been totally healthy on the offensive line for quite a while now. The second they move Leary on somewhere else, they're going to need Leary in their own lineup. So I love having a insurance policy like Ron Leary for that offensive line. It should be a real weapon all season long, and I have a feeling their injury luck might run out on the offensive line. That's when you move Leary to guard if you lose a guard, or Leary to center if you lose a center, or Leary to guard and now move one of those guys out to tackle if you lose a tackle. They have flexible players up on offense as well. Zach Martin can play guard or tackle. Lyle Collins can play guard or tackle. So I don't know which one's going to get hurt, but come on. It's got to happen at some point that they're going to lose a guy for a month, and then you're going to be happy you have Ron Leary.
Yeah, we're having fun here, no?
I feel like we're having the best fun ever.
Well, we're out of time. He's Bob Sturm, noon to 3 on the Ticket. Thank you for the time.
Awesome.
All right, I'm Chase Williams, Fox 4 Sports.